onto the AFL.
AFL commenters.
Yeah, are we the AFL commenters today?
Well, here's the thing, D. I spoke to you about doing this topic on the show this week, and I don't watch AFL. I'm not a fan of AFL, so I hope people will allow me to discuss it.
What are you doing? What I did with Michael right now? Discussing it without watching it.
Well, here's the thing.
Hypocrite alert.
Well, I've seen AFL games.
I've seen a Michael Jackson music video.
Right, but there's a difference between the movie.
Oh yeah.
And what I'm going to talk about. I mean, oh come on! Are you really going to fire that at me? Like it is weird to talk about the Michael Jackson thing when you haven't seen the movie.
You tell us about this because this I don't think I've heard a lot about this, but I've seen some of the stuff since you told me. But
I've done my research, and I hope that I do want to preface before Dan interrupted me. I do want to preface that I don't know a lot about AFL. Dan is right. And I hope that if I get anything mixed up in that sense, that you guys can allow me to make a few mistakes, because I don't know much about this. What I did see from this situation and this story was the story of a young kid at the age of 23 really struggling. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of opinions out there about, because people love the sport of AFL. And, I understand that. I guess the only thing I can refer to is that, I'm a huge cricket fan, and I had a thing recently with, we spoke about on the show with Harry Brook having an interaction with a bouncer in New Zealand, and it didn't go too well and stuff. So I understand what it's like to have faith and hope and see these young kids as inspirations. But I think the problem is they are just quite young, and the story that we have here is actually pretty insane. Again, it caught my eye as someone who isn't a fan of AFL.
Right.
But purely I see this as the reason why I'm talking about it and wanted to bring it in on the show is because it is, I think, a concerning mental health episode that I think people have gotten the wrong end of the stick of. Okay. And I'm going to try and give my opinion on it and try and see both sides of the story. But ultimately, I would go with the point that this is a 23-year-old kid who I think is struggling with some dark shit going on right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, disclaimer for myself, I know similarly little about AFL. I played it when I was a teenager, but I'm not a follower of the professional sort of league and everything else, but and I've seen even less about this story. Conor really brought this to me, so I'm ready to be open and listen.
We need the AFL horn soundbite.
Yeah, that's
just
good.
Just to keep it a little lighthearted. But yeah, if you could bring up the first little bit here,
the first image,
just the first image here, which is the with the white. Yeah, here we go. So recent AFL-related alcohol issues include reports of Colton's Elijah Holland acting irrationally during a match, promoting a club investigation into potential mental health episode. So they keep saying mental health episode, which, as far as I'm aware, they haven't. It's been a week now, and they haven't actually released a statement if it was. I think the whole alcohol thing is being alleged. It's allegedly that he was drunk, but there hasn't been, as far as I'm concerned, any proof that he actually had been drinking or was on drugs.
Right, so he was acting really irrationally during a game, or, erratically, sorry, is the word.
And I have some footage of
you've got some videos which we will show.
I do, yeah.
So I guess the alcohol thing is rumours, or that's not confirmed.
Not confirmed, but
the best way to refer to it is a mental health episode, I guess?
The club said, in response, they said that it was a mental health episode.
Okay.
Which could still include alcohol. And I'll give a little speech about that near the end, but other incidents involving players' suspicions for drinking on short breaks and historical concerns over alcohol's high presence around the football clubs. So that's just the drinking culture around this sport and stuff. Drinking during short breaks is in, as you'll see from one of these clips, I think it's the Magpies, which is the team that they were versing. One of the guys mentions that he thinks that Elijah was topping up, I guess, during the halftime break.
Okay.
So I just wanted to read this. Elijah Hollands, following a one-possession game on April 16th, 2026, concerns were raised about the 23-year-old's welfare after erratic behaviour. While some allegations mention alcohol, the club is treating it as a serious mental health episode, as reported by 7 YouTube and Reddit. So we have some clips here. Okay. And I do want to preface before playing this, I actually considered maybe not bringing these into the show because I don't get any enjoyment out of showing someone during a mental health episode. So I want to just make this clear that I am showing these clips in defense of Elijah because I think that he is obviously going through a lot. Now, I understand if, he is drunk. I don't agree with that. But I do think that my standpoint is this kid's 23 years old. He obviously fought very hard to get where he is, and he's obviously very talented. I don't personally see why he would tarnish his reputation and his chance at such a young age.
Yeah.
To just blow everything that he has. I think he is obviously dealing with some, and that is if he was drunk. Again, it's not confirmed. I don't see why he would tarnish his chances at being at the top. This is the hygiene. It's the top of of the game that you can play. So I wanted to make that clear before we show these clips, but it is relevant to the story, and I think we've got to represent both sides. So here's the clip. This one actually is very bizarre.
Good decision by Steen from there.
Yeah, so...
Can I turn the audio off? Or?
Maybe probably should. Sorry, I took the audio out of one of the other ones, but just in case for copyright. Right. But yeah, so he goes behind this guy, and yeah, again, I don't really watch AFLs. I don't really know if this is a thing that, players do, but he is acting a bit irrationally there.
He's the guy standing?
He's the guy standing, yeah. So he's hopping under this guy and riding him like a bit of a horse. Yeah, acting a bit like a bit of a goon. Over the place, yeah. And it's funny, because I was talking to my mom about this, so I actually didn't think about how it would be greened out because of the green screen in the background. Right. But, the thing is, if he was drunk, a good argument, I think, that the AFL could fire back at him would be saying that you're using a performance-enhancing drug.
Yeah.
Because with Dutch courage, I suppose you could call it. But, sorry, Dan, I should have told you about because we use the green screen in the background and they play on a green pitch. So
we're making it as grey as we can.
That's fine. That'll do. So this clip here... This one's a bit of a long one, so if you want to just play it in the background while I talk. But this is right near the end of the game where I believe they win. And fans were filming this being like, again, these are fans who go to these games and would realize how players act. So they just won. And he is just acting a little irrational. Now, again, they're calling this a mental episode. And a lot of people were saying why he was even allowed to go. Right. You see what I mean there? See, that's a good indication.
Be drunk, could be something else. Yeah,
I think this was the end of the game. Again, there you go. That was the end of the game there. So I think they're all celebrating there and stuff. So the next clip that I got, I believe, is so this is of the Collingwood players. Discussing. I don't think you'll have to color grade this one down because there's no grass. So here you go. The guy. Again, I'm so sorry. I don't know players' names. So this is the Collingwood blokes who are all huddled up. And so I'll read it out to you because they had to. This was just through lips, so people.
Does this have audio?
No. So it was just them talking, and you couldn't hear the audio. So lip readers encrypted. Basically, again, this is only alleged because we don't really know what they were saying. But I'll read it out as you play it. So this player here, again, sorry about names. Elijah, he says he's off his nut here. And this guy says what? Apparently during the game, the other guy says no way. Yeah. And then this guy behind him says you could smell the alcohol. So they could smell it on his breath when they were... I reckon he had more at half time. So obviously when you're tackling and stuff, he's breathing obviously because he's running and stuff. Apparently they could smell the alcohol on his breath. And I think I have one more clip left, or I could be mistaken.
Is this... Oh, no, I don't know if...
No, we don't have it. And then we have...
I don't know, sorry, there might be one more.
I think we went through all the clips, but there's this one picture. No, we don't. Yeah, and then anyway, there's just a picture here, a post from his father, Ben Hollands. Yeah. So he said, "This is my beautiful boy. For anyone in the mindset of healing, you are loved. You have a unique and defined purpose. You are seen whole. I know who my son is, and I will lift him up until he's restored in full. For those supporting someone who is struggling, encourage them, affirm them, and love them. go to them, remind them who they are, who they truly are. So yeah, again, this is really sad. This is really sad. I mean, I saw this and, unfortunately, I think a lot of the media is instantly going to attack him. I think with his father coming out, I think the main thing we have to take away from this is that this is a 23-year-old kid. Like, he's basically a child. Like, I couldn't understand going from nothing to performing live, particularly in Australia with the AFL. I know maybe in other countries people won't know this, but this would get millions upon millions of views.
It's the national
every
sport.
game.
I mean,
it's a national sport. So I guess my main takeaway would be, I do really just feel sorry for this kid. I think even if there was no alcohol or drugs involved, I think he is dealing with a mental episode. And I think, it's very easy, I think, for someone to make a mistake and then just be tarnished for it. I just hope that this isn't going to be a thing or one of those things where he is just expelled forever and is remembered for this. And, obviously it's not up to me. And I think it's not looking great in his favor if he was under the influence. But I would just say, particularly in these times that we're going through, just to be a bit kinder and, try to think about it in like someone else's shoes, because I don't think this kid who's 23 wanted this to be his story. I think he was struggling with some stuff, and unfortunately this is how it came out. And I think being kind would be the best way to handle this whole thing. I don't know if you have anything else that you want to add to that, but
I got something to say. I guess I was talking to Kath just about the idea of this story before, and I sort of said, alcoholism is tough, and also, it could be a mixture where it could be that he was out there drunk on the field, but then also having some kind of a mental break,
Sure.
like a mixture of both, I guess, an alcohol-infueled mental break. But, I think it's tough because there are definitely lines you can cross. So, for example, if someone's an alcoholic, but then that ties in with them doing like domestic violence, or let's say if he was like stealing from the team or like attacking other players, maybe that's different. As far as I can tell, there's no complicating factors like that in this story.
Yeah.
And, that video was really interesting you showed about the other players speculating that he was drinking. I think that I feel like it would almost be worse if he was just like the openly drinking guy telling his mates, everyone else. I think the fact that he was obviously hiding it, to me, shows that it's some sort of like a shameful addiction that he has.
Yeah.
And, addiction is real. Like, people struggle with that. And especially, like you said, being 23 and performing on a national platform and national, like,
one of, if not the biggest in like the country.
Yeah, well, and certainly like the last big TV broadcast remaining in the country.
I mean, we seem to be the only guys who don't watch it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
and so that would come with so much pressure. And if you turn to like alcohol as a coping mechanism, I think that's totally understandable. Now, look, obviously you can't be getting plastered and coming out to play. And I think the best, most humane thing is like, okay, you have a problem. I don't think it's grounds for like expulsion from playing forever, but I do think you would probably need to do some like rehab or like a program.
Yeah.
Commit to some kind of recovery. But I think if you can do that, like, I don't see why
you can't come back.
Yeah, I don't see why you can't come back and like go.
The issue is like play. If they don't do something, it will open the door to more people doing it.
Yeah, there has to be some process, right? I'm not saying it should necessarily be harsh punishment, but maybe you offer help and you say, look, we can't like allow that for players. We're going to have to either give you a few game ban or whatever, but in that time we're going to encourage you to go to rehab. If you do that, then you can come back and you can like redeem yourself and come and play, and it doesn't have to be the end of your career. Because that would be a very sad
that would be at such a young age, and obviously a talented enough guy to be at this kind of
because what are you supposed to do if you're then the 24-year-old that can't be in the AFL? That's all you could do was be an AFL player, and they kicked you out.
And then they kicked you out, yeah.
And it was because you were dealing with an alcohol addiction. Now, again, alcohol addiction can be ugly, and you can hurt a lot of people in your life. But this does appear, at least at this stage, to be a situation where he was really hurting himself more
It's
than
just
anyone.
really sad.
Yeah,
I think that's the saddest
right?
thing about it, is that, like, I think you're right. You know, you're making some really great points this show, Dan. I think that he's not really hurting anyone but himself. I guess the one thing I would say, just to end this segment, unless you have anything more to say,
your son is very beautiful.
I would say that that was good.
Thank you.
I would say that the Collingwood blokes who were, again, I know there was no audio and we're just reading lips, but
read my lips, baby.
I don't know if they should have on the field been talking about it, and if they were, keep it encrypted.
Tough. Yeah,
because even if he wasn't or isn't under the influence of alcohol, I know they said they could smell it. Again, man, this is a kid. This is a 23-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, let's be a bit respectful here. Like, come on.
See,
what's
that's
going
another
on?
thing. Like, I feel like it would be a bit different if it was a case where it's like, maybe if the other team members knew and they were covering up for him, or if he was like being really desperate about him, like, oh, please don't tell, like all this kinds of stuff. It really did at least seem like in that clip that they didn't know. Like, they were shocked to know that he might have been drinking and playing, which is just a bit sad, you know. But
I would say just keep it maybe to the locker room to discuss someone, because come on, like, if someone is drinking on the field, that is, I understand it might be a bit of a shock, and sometimes you just say things out
without
loud.
really thinking,
But, you know, it's like, this kid's obviously struggling. So, look, my love goes to Elijah and his family. I think they're obviously going through a hard time. And as someone who doesn't know AFL, I would just say, let's just try to be a little bit kinder. As much as I understand you might be disappointed and stuff,
I think that's
I think just be a bit kinder.
Good take, pal.
Thank you. I'm glad that I was so worried about doing that segment.
No.
I was freaking out all day about that, because I was like, I wanted to make sure I did it right, and I knew my parents would be watching.
Aww.
So
I think you did great.
They wanted me to they want me to send them that part where I spoke about it, because they didn't know, and I said that I'd be doing the show. So